In this video, I'm going to show you how to do a T-bud on a peach. And so we're going to use this baby peach Crawford scion and this, let's see, I think this is probably a level peach rootstock that we're going to put it on. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to cut off one of our buds. And so we want to look for one that looks pretty healthy and like ready to go. I would say this one here is probably, let's see, there we go. That one is a lot of fuzziness to it and it still looks pretty plump. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna use this bud for our bud. Now to do that, we're gonna make a cut above on the scion and a cut below on the scion. And we're just gonna get underneath that and we're gonna cut up. Whoops. Well, that one went flying and I have no idea where. So now we're gonna look for our second best bud on here, and it's probably gonna be this top one. Ah, that one looks kind of crunchy actually. Let's go for this bud here. That one looks like it should be pretty good. All right, let's try this again. The other one was a nice cut. It just disappeared into oblivion. Okay, so there we go. We've got this nice long bud that we've cut off of our scion here. So here we go. Now we're going to take this bud and we're going to insert it into an inner stem on our rootstock, but we're going to do this by making a little T. So we're going to cut across the top here, just slightly. This only really works whenever your bark is slipping, and then we're going to cut, so we cut across the top here, like that, and now we're going to cut down. If you do this the other way, it's called an inverse T, just if it's upside down from this. And now we're going to take our knife and we're just going to pry up these little flaps here that we created. Okay, pry up the flap there, pry up this flap there. This rootstock is not quite slipping as much as I would like, but it's doing okay. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're not really getting that wood layer. We want to get the green layer so that we can have the green layer be in contact with the chip that we're going to put in there. Okay, so maybe I can cut out some of this. This is usually done ideally in like late May or early June, so sometimes you'll hear this called June budding on peaches or almonds. There's another plant that they do. So it's funny that we keep trying to do these propagation things in non-optimal times just because we're restricted by the guidelines of the UC Davis quarter system. There we go. So as long as we get some of that off to there, that's what we want to connect our bud with. Okay, so we're going to do that here. On the other side, we'll peel that back a little bit and we'll just get that woody layer off of there. There we go. All right, that one peeled off much more nicely. Okay, so now we've got a lot of that green layer tissue exposed. That's going to be great for healing. We're going to take our bud and we're going to prep our bud just a little bit more by getting rid of some of this outer layer of bark here. So you can do that just by shaving it a little bit. There we go. Now we've got lots of green stuff showing. That green is what we want to have contact with the other part. Okay, so we're going to use this little top piece as a handle, and we're going to just slide this little bud into that little pocket. Oh, mine might be a little bit long, so I'm going to trim the bottom of that off a little bit. Just a little tiny cut on the bottom to make it fit better in its new little house here. And then we'll insert it back in that little pocket. And here we go, insert into pocket. There we go. Now we can close this up here in its new little house like that. And first we're going to wrap it with a piece of parafilm. Like this. So here's our parafilm. And peel that apart like this. And then we're going to fold that. Warm it up a little bit in our hands, and then we can give it a good stretch. Oop, too much of a good stretch. It's all right. There we go. Okay, and we're just gonna, we gotta make sure that we wrap that entire little bud because we wanna make sure that it doesn't dry out. So we're going to wrap that really good around there with our parafilm. Once the bud starts to grow, it should grow straight through that parafilm, so we don't really need to worry about that too much. Then we're going to take a rubber band, and it won't be able to grow through the rubber band, so we're going to definitely have to make sure that when we wrap our rubber band that we're wrapping below and above that bud. Okay. So here is below, and now I'm going to make sure I go right above that bud. And that's going to hold that in place really nice and firmly for me and allow it to heal. I'm going to go around, I'm going to tuck that under my thumb, push it through and tie it off. And then our last all-important step is we are going to label it. This is a baby Crawford peach. And I'm going to put it right below it in this case. I have some other things grafted onto this tree, and probably by the time this starts to grow, I'll be able to move it so that it's right on that bud. But for now, since I don't have anything above it that's really good, I'm just going to put that underneath there so that it hangs out, and then I'll know it's there. So there you go. Tea bud on a peach.